and it's 4 days before Christmas. Oh my gosh. Yes, today is Tuesday, the 21st of this last couple days of the 2021 year. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome to Mortgage Money with Shirley. I'm your girl, Shirley Nichols. You can find this podcast streaming live on my YouTube channel, Mortgage Money with Shirley, or you can find me on Facebook, right here live on Facebook under my personal Shirley Nichols, or on my business page, Clear Sky Mortgage and Realty. So again, tune in. Come on, y'all. Come on in and let's, get a little bit of education, a little bit of knowledge on some mortgage business. And you're with your girl, Mortgage Money with Shirley. Okay, so again, I'm streaming here live today in the Morris Media Studios here in Los Angeles. And you can call in if you have any questions. You can call in at 323-815-4204, 323-815-4204. Now, if you're a little bit apprehensive about calling in, that's okay. Put your comments on the Facebook post or in the Facebook page, or you can DM me, or I'll give you my direct cell phone number, 818-720-7575, and I'll also give you that number at the end of the show, okay? So listen. We're about 30 minutes strong on this podcast. We'll end a little early. If you have questions, I can answer for you on live air. If not, like I said, you can instant message me or call me. But I am a mortgage broker. I am also a real estate broker. I do both sides. I do the lending side. I also do the real estate side. I've been in this mortgage environment industry and real estate industry for about 28 plus years. I know. But you got a whole 7-year-old and you look like you 13. Thank you. But no, I have been doing this mortgage and real estate business for a long time. And I absolutely love it. And that's why I'm doing these podcasts, just to hopefully give you all a little bit of insight, a little bit more education on stuff that you may not know about, that you might need to know about, that you want to hear about. Today's episode 15. What Now Part 2. What Now Part 2. 2 weeks ago, I did What Now Part 1, and we talked about everything that, not everything, because there's a lot to this mortgage environment, but we touched on a few tidbits and tips about FHA, government loans, VA. We talked about the HERO or the PACE program loans. And I do want to bring that up a little bit later on in the show today. We also talked about credit. Yeah. And those FICO scores. Yeah. We kind of took it back to the basics on applying and those inquiries. And we talked about, savings and investing in more real estate. Yeah. So I just want to kind of, again, end this year out with a bang and kind of talk some more about the little tidbits of 2021 and maybe what to expect in 2022. Okay, again, Mortgage Money with Shirley. Share the podcast. Share, tag, and invite some of your people to watch it because there's some information in here. And like I said, after the show, if you have any other questions, you need to get a hold of me, feel free to give me a call, okay? So let's talk about VA loans. Yeah, so VA loans, government loans, they're available. Yeah, we still do those VA loans. Yes. And why is it so important that we keep talking and we want to make sure that the veterans are listening so that they can do what they want to do with their property or buy some property, right? VA loans are available at 100% financing. What'd you say, Shirley? 100% financing. What does that mean? You're a veteran, right? You want to go out and buy a property and you're thinking, oh, I don't have this huge down payment. Don't worry about the down payment. 100% financing. That means if you see a house in LA County and the LA County house and the sales price is $650, you want to buy it. $650 is what the bank will offer you. Okay? It's 100% financing. Now, there are some fees that you will have to pay for. There is an inspection, okay? When you're buying a house, it's very important. There's a couple of steps that you kind of want to go through with your agent, right? And or your lender. And those steps are things that you want to start thinking of, right? Who's your lender going to be? What's your credit score look like? And with the VA, you don't have to have a 700 FICO score. You don't have to have, oh my gosh, my score is barely a 680. You don't even have to have a 680, right? Okay, so give me a call, because I think some veterans are thinking, oh, my FICO scores are not great, my credit's not good. You'd be amazed at what the VA can offer when your credit scores are under a 680 or under a 700. Don't worry about all of that. Call your mortgage broker and let's talk and see what your credit does look like, okay? You will be surprised at what the VA offers, right? So 100% financing. So after you get through the credit application and you find out what your scores are, you find out what income that will provide or you will qualify for that house, then you want to start getting into making offers, okay? You find the property that you want, you put in the offer gets accepted, and you want to do an inspection. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that's one of the upfront fees that you'll need to pay for when you're doing a VA, okay? Like I said, there's a couple of upfront fees that you'll need to pay as a VA buyer. You'll need to pay for your inspection. But I thought I had to do an appraisal. Inspection and appraisal are two different things. So you'll have an inspection, which pretty much inspects the property. They'll check out the plumbing, the lighting, electricity. They'll check out the walls and see if there's some problems with the, cracks in the walls. They'll look around the property, the perimeter of the house. They'll see if the plumbing and the pipes and the wires are all in sync, if there's anything going on with that kind of stuff. So you definitely want to do an inspection. Now, oddly enough, not every seller understands how these inspections really work, right? So I have a client that I'm selling her property, and we got an offer and we're in escrow, and the buyers are over there trying to do the inspection. And all of a sudden, why is that inspector still here? It's been an hour and a half. Believe it or not, some and most inspections will take up to about 4 hours because they're checking every single thing in that property for the next buyer. They're going from the top to the bottom, the side to the side, and all this stuff in between. They're checking. So it's very important that you have an inspection. Kind of like when you buy a car, if you're buying a used automobile, you want to get that car inspected. Same thing with the house. You're buying a pre-existing house that's been lived in and been sold probably a few times, who knows, and exchanged homeowners a few times, who knows, but you always want to do that inspection. It's very important. So as a veteran, and as most buyers anyways, you will pay the inspection, you'll pay that monies up front, okay? And like I said, the inspections typically take up to maybe 4 hours, okay? Depending on the size of the house, right? Some larger houses might take longer, but just know you're gonna get a thorough investigation of that property, right? So as a veteran, again, there are a couple fees that you'll pay up front. The inspection is one of them. You want to have that. It is different from the appraisal. Now, the appraisal, oddly enough, guess what? You don't have to pay that up front, okay? That appraisal fee is about $600 with the VA. You do not need to pay that up front, but you will pay that inspection fee, and you will also, if your property is in the state of California, you will also be doing a termite inspection. Yeah. I swear, don't get me started. Don't get me started on these termite inspections. But nonetheless, you will have a termite inspection with the VA, okay? If you're using VA lending, you will do a termite inspection. And that termite inspection could run you a couple more $100, okay? So again, as a veteran buyer, if you're buying a property using your VA lending, just know there are a couple of fees you will pay up front, but the financing, 100% financing, right? Now, there are closing costs, which is separate from the sales price. You have your sales price, and then you have closing costs. Two separate things, kind of like that inspection and that appraisal. Two separate things, okay? So I'm not going to get into all of the fees that you have to pay as a veteran, but the main idea and why veterans are so important and so blessed that they can use that 100% financing is because, again, there's no down payment. Okay. Unless you want to put a down payment, you can, but there's no down payment necessary when you're doing VA lending. You can do that 100% financing, but again, just know the couple of fees, appraisal and inspection, or excuse me, termite and inspection, you will need to pay up front. Now, like I said, I have my qualms about these termites. In the state of California, and I do mean just about every property is going to have a termite. Yeah. Now, the good news is that most of the time they'll give you a clearance or a clear termite report after you've paid a couple $100s for them to fix the termite situation. All right. If you're lucky, you won't have a huge termite problem. It'll just be something they'll say, oh, we found a little termite over here, whatever. We can fix that, spray it down or whatever. But the bottom line is you do have to have that for the VA loans. Okay. And there are other loans and other lending programs that they might discuss you getting a termite, but it's really up to you at that point. But it's mandatory for VA lending. Okay. So other government loans, FHA. Yeah. FHA still going strong and the rates are low. Interest rates are low, and so are they. They're very low for VA as well, but they're definitely low for FHA as well. Okay. Now FHA, the difference between VA and FHA is FHA's down payment minimum requirement is 3.5%, 3.5% of that sales price. Okay. So you're wanting to buy, I don't know, a $100,000 house. Well, then you're going to need 3.5% of that $100,000 or $3,500, right? So that's your down payment requirement for FHA, another government loan. There's also Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac conventional conforming loans that, oddly enough, there are some programs with conventional conforming that only will require 3% down payment. Yeah. So 3% down payment is kind of a going down payment that you can definitely be eligible for, but that also has another type of layer of conditions that comes with, okay? So just know there are some lending programs that don't require you to put the 5% down, 10% down, or the 20% down. It used to be, years and years and years and before I was born, that they would require that 20% down, right? And everybody thought, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to buy a house. It's 20% down. And then of course, FHA came around and the VA came around and said, pump your brakes. You don't really have to do that. So no, I still get, believe it or not, I get a couple of questions that says, well, Shirley, I can't buy a house because it's 20% down. Not true. You don't have to have 20% down when you're buying a house. So as you're going into 2022, guys, like I said, we're real close to 2022 and you want to start thinking about real estate, mortgage lending, assets, getting a portfolio together. Start thinking about buying. Buy some more property if you have it. And if you're starting to get into the real estate market and you want to purchase your first home, don't worry about the 20% down payment. It's not needed. There's other programs that you can qualify for. Don't worry. The thing about the 20% down is that a lot of people thought, well, I need 20% down because I don't want to pay PMI. PMI, private mortgage insurance. But do you know that if you did not put 20% down because you did not want to pay the PMI, there's conventional conforming loans that you can get that you just got to increase your interest rate and it gets rid of the PMI. Oh, imagine that, right? So do understand there's ways now. Lending has revamped and rebuilt, and there's all kinds of programs out there. You just need to talk to your mortgage broker and figure out which one suits you. Okay, but no more of the stigmas going into 2022. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what suits you the most. So I said, go into 22, maybe buy some more property if you haven't. But if you have you thought about buying a second home? Now, why do I bring that up? Why do you bring that up, Shirley? Well, last week, I'm working with a client, right, that has a couple properties here in LA, okay? But they heard Vegas is popping. Vegas is hot. Vegas has the Raiders Stadium. It's everything. It's going on. It's this, it's that, and the values are increasing. Yeah, property's appreciating in Vegas. So I've got clients that now want to start venturing out in Vegas. But surely I don't have the 25% down payment for an investment home. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. 25% down. Guess what? There is something called a second home, right? So your first home or your primary home is here in Los Angeles, okay? And maybe you have rental properties as well in Los Angeles, but you want to move across state lines to Vegas. You can do that. You can purchase in Vegas as a second home. You won't need your 25% down. You possibly could get away with 10% down on a second home. Imagine that. You can have a whole nother property. And the reason why I mentioned Vegas, I mean, of course, there's all kinds of other states you can move to. But the reason why I mentioned Vegas is because I'm licensed in both California and Vegas. So you can do those homes, those mortgage loans and mortgage lending and real estate in Vegas. Give me a call and I'll help you out. So that's why I mentioned Vegas, okay? So again, if you have a primary property here in Los Angeles and you want to hop the state lines, go ahead. Go ahead and buy a second home. That's what you're going to talk to your lender about. You're going to say, hey, I want to do a purchase loan in Vegas or whatever other state, help yourself. And I want to do it as a second home. Now, there's, of course, some requirements and some other conditions that go along with that. But that is a viable option instead of calling it a rental property. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're going to put a tenant in there, it's a rental property. If you're going to put a tenant in there and charge them money to live in your house and you claim that money on your tax returns, you got a rental property, okay? So sign a lease with the tenant, charge them money, claim the income on your income tax returns. It's a rental property. And the lender's going to know it every single time, okay? So just give me a call and we'll talk about the second homes because that's a very viable option. One other thing that came up last week and we're still working on this week too, the differences between a PUD or a planned unit development and a single family. So we're having this debate and I don't know why I'm saying debate because most of the time the underwriter is going to say what it is and it is what it is. But the appraiser actually has the say-so kind of on these appraisals and what type of property that you have. And it's very important because with a PUD, a planned unit development, or a single family, those are the one in the same category. That interest rate is different than a condo. And that's the dilemma that we're on the fence about right now. And so the appraiser, of course, is going to pretty much say, hey, this is what it is. And then the underwriter will go along with that appraisal report and the prelim title report, okay? Because the property has to be coded exactly what type it is so that the investors will buy this loan at the end of the day, okay? So again, the dilemma or the question on the table is we have a property that's located in a gated community, okay? And they have those HOA fees, those homeowner association fees. The HOA fees automatically, when people hear HOA, they think condo. Oh my gosh, it's a condo. But that's not necessarily true. And in my client's case, it's not true. She does have HOA fees or dues, homeowner association dues. She does have the HOA. It is in a gated community. However, it's a PUD. It's a planned unit development. Okay. And typically what separates a planned unit development from a condo are those CC&Rs. And you'll hear about that if you're ever thinking about buying a condo, you'll hear about that more so about CC&Rs and the covenants and the rights of that particular property. Now, there are a lot of PUDs that also have these CC&Rs, but sometimes when it gets right down to it, it'll say the description that the property really is a PUD, a planned unit development, versus a condo. And the rates, I will tell you, rates are a little cheaper if it's a PUD, basically a single family, versus a condo. Okay. But again, it'll get right down to what does that appraisal report say and what does the prelim title report say. So those two have to match, and then the underwriter will take whatever they're calling it. And in my client's case, even though the underwriter is a little on the fence and trying to give me a run for my money, or the homeowner's money. But even though the underwriter is questioning what type of property, in just a few days, they'll know. The appraiser will be sending in their completed report with it being a PUD. But it's very important as you're, venturing out into your real estate portfolio and buying and acquiring new property. It's very important that you understand the type of property that you're buying, okay? Same thing with multiple units. So you want to buy a 2-unit property, okay? Because you're going to live in one side and you're going to rent the other side out. Shirley, is that a rental property? Well, in the lending guidelines, you can still call that an owner-occupied primary property, even though you're going to be renting out one unit of it, one side of it. Okay. So again, very important to know what type of property that you're qualifying for when it comes to lending, even up to 4 units. Well, Shirley, I want to buy a multi-unit, a 4-unit property so I can rent out the other 3 units and I'm going to live in one of the units. Is that an investment property? Am I going to have to put 25% down? No. You won't, because again, in the lender's eyes, that is still your primary owner occupied property because you're going to live in one of those units. Okay, so just keep those little tidbits that I'm giving to you. Keep that in mind when you're purchasing or you're maybe refinancing. And let's talk about that refinance thing for a minute. Refinancing went bananas for these last 2 years. Yeah, I don't know. The pandemic did something to this market. They wanted to keep the market flourishing. They wanted to keep the economy intact so that it doesn't, plummet or, gosh forbid, go into another recession. So they wanted to keep things moving as best as they can. So they dropped these interest rates. Bananas, right? And when they dropped the rates, everybody wanted to refinance. So what you found was in these last 2 years is a surge of the refinance market. And I mean, we're refinancing everything, And so with this market of refinancing, again, those questions will come up. If you have a VA loan, can I do a refinance on my VA loan? Absolutely. Now, of course, you need to qualify, meaning there's some things that kind of go along with refinancing your VA loan. The VA administration, they are very protective over their vets, and that is a great thing, kind of like FHA. FHA is pretty protective over their FHA clients. Well, with the VA, if you're trying to refinance and you don't want to pull out cash, no problem. You want to refinance just for that lower rate. Just know, okay, there's a few requirements that have to happen in order to refinance those VA loans, okay? One in particular, your interest rate has to drop by 0.5%, 0.50. Whatever rate you're at right now, if you're a VA recipient or if you're using your VA lending, your rate, if you're at a 2.75, if you're at 2 3/4, that rate has to drop by 0.5%. Your new rate has to be 2 1/4 if you're doing VA lending and you're just trying to do a lower rate and not take out any cash, okay? It's very important because the VA won't allow you to keep refinancing if there's no benefit. And one of the biggest benefits for the VA is when your interest rate drops by at least a minimum of 0.5%. So take out your mortgage loan or your billing statement and see what your rate is. If your rate is not at a 2 1/4 yet, as a VA recipient or someone who is using their VA lending, if you are using VA and your rate is not at 2 1/4, call me. Just simply call me so we can talk about it, okay? Because you can actually try to get your rate to a 2 1/4 right now. Yeah, you can. And there's no appraisal needed. There's no termite needed because all you're doing is just switching one loan term at a one interest rate and payment to another. That's lower. What'd you say, Shirley? That's lower. Okay, that is called what we call a VA IRRL. It's an acronym for interest rate reduction loan. Okay, IRRL, IRRL, interest rate reduction loan. That's for the VAs. Okay, you don't pay anything for it. There's no appraisal. There's no termite. There's nothing. All you're doing is taking it from one loan interest rate and payment to a lower interest rate and payment. And that's it. You're not getting any cash back or anything. Okay, but again, remember, the VA requires that current rate to be reduced by at least 0.5%. So again, take out your mortgage billing statement if you don't know what your rate is and call me. Now, if you want to take out cash, you can do it. But Shirley, I'm using my VA eligibility and they didn't say I could refinance and take out cash. They didn't say I can do that. They just said all I can do is have my VA loan that I started with. You can refinance and you can pull out cash. Veteran, you can, if you qualify for it. Now, just like any other loan program, there are debt to income ratios that have to be met. There's FICO scores that have to be met. But the VA is so relaxed. I mean, I use that word loosely, but it really is. Their requirements are not as stringent as someone who's doing a conforming, conventional Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type of a deal, right? Their guidelines and their requirements are a little bit more at ease for the veterans, right? They really are. So if you want to take out cash, call me. Let's talk about it. Because as a VA loan recipient, someone who's using their VA lending, you can do a cash out. Now, let's pause. Because with a cash out on a VA loan, you will need to do an appraisal. You don't have to pay for it up front, but you will need to do one, and that will be financed into the loan. And you also have to do a termite. Yeah. So, again, the thing about the termite is it has to get paid up front, okay? Termite report gets paid up front. And like I said, don't get me started on the termite thing. Don't want to hear it. But you will need to do that. So, again, if you are using the VA lending, feel free, give me a call. Let's talk about the cash out because you can do that, okay? FHA, same type of deal. If you want to do an FHA refinance and not take out any monies, no problem. It's called a streamline. You got your VA IRRRL, interest rate reduction loan, and then you have your FHA streamline. Same type of deal. There's no appraisal, no income check. Your FICO score, yeah, you got to meet it, but pretty simple. But it's simple. It's just as easy as doing a VA IRRRL. You just simply get a lower interest rate and payment and flip it over to another loan term. That's it. That's it. No appraisal, no income check, no assets check, none of that. Nope. And that's just called an FHA streamline. And if you have an FHA loan in the 2021 here in California, we really need to talk. Because right now, FHA loan, the interest rates are so incredibly low, but you very well may have enough equity living here in LA County. You very well may have enough equity to refinance and get rid of the FHA and their PMI and switch to a regular conventional loan that doesn't have PMI. Okay? So there's all kinds of financing that I want you to start thinking about going into 2022 year. Okay? Things are starting to get back on track. You went back to work, I take it. Yeah. So the job market's opening back up. Real estate is booming, and we want to keep this economy booming. So we got to buy, we got to sell, we got to refinance, we got to do all that kind of stuff to keep our economy moving. So let's think about that. What now? What now? Now, going into the 2022 year, let's think about getting more real estate. Or if you have to refinance, pull out the cash, go buy some more real estate, right? And make sure that you're checking your credit. Now is a good time. It's the end of the year. Now is a good time. Check your credit. We talked about this 2 weeks ago on the 2 weeks ago podcast. What now, part 1? What now, part 2? Did you check your credit? Did you check the credit reports? And I said reports plural for a reason. Check all 3 of them. Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. Check all 3 of the bureaus, right? And how do I do that, Shirley? You can check Experian.com for starters. Equifax.com, TransUnion.com, they all have a .com. Go to their websites. Or some people choose to use Credit Karma. And these are just, there's nothing wrong with Credit Karma or free credit. Oh, there we go. I was sitting there messing with this stool of mine. There's nothing wrong with using Credit Karma or myfreecreditreport.com. They're all just websites that are secure. And then you can use those. But what I do want to share with you all, just be mindful if you're going to pull your credit score. Nothing wrong with pulling your FICO score. You can do that. If you are going to do that, just understand that FICO score is for you. It's an individual score for you. And the lender score is going to be something totally different. Okay. So just understand it gives you a benchmark, kind of sort of where you may be targeting where you want to go. So that score, I've been doing this for 28 plus years. And there hasn't been not one single time that a client has called me and said, hey, Shirley, I went to creditkarma.com and my score I got on there is a 650. And then I said, okay, well, let me as the lender pull it. And their score was a 650. And then mine miraculously was a 700. It's hardly ever the case where as the lender pulling it, my score is hardly ever higher than the score that you pull as an individual. Hardly ever happens. And like I said, in the 28 years I've been doing this business, I haven't seen it not one time. So just be mindful as an individual, as a civilian, pulling your credit reports, plural. If you choose to pull your FICO scores, plural, then just know your FICO scores may be a tad bit lower, or excuse me, a tad bit higher than the scores that I pull, a tad bit higher than the score the lender pulls, okay? And don't get all bogged down about the score and all that. Your main focus for you to pull your credit right now in 2021 before you go into 2020, the reason why I'm suggesting that you do that, not so much for the FICO score, it's just to see what's on the credit report, right? You know what? You don't want to take into the new year some mishap that's not even supposed to be there, right? You had some bogus, I don't know, some bogus credit card on there that you've never even seen, or collection account that you never even heard of, or whatever. You've had that on your credit report. You don't want to take that into 2022 is all I'm saying. So what now? Now is a good time to go ahead and pull the credit reports. You don't necessarily need your scores right now unless you're planning on buying something. You just kind of want to I spy on what the score kind of looks like, because like I said, that score typically will be higher than the score that I pull as a lender, okay? But again, if you're just getting your credit reports is a good thing, just to see, look on there. Maybe Victoria's Secrets gave you a $300 credit line you didn't know about. And then you want to buy Shirley a gift with that $300. Oh, just kidding. Okay, so however, just get your credit reports, plural, pull them, look at them, read them, and see what you can do to get that rectified before going into 2022, okay? So we want to get our real estate together. We want to see if we need to refinance, lower some rates, pull out some cash. We want to get the credit scores together, or not necessarily the scores, but get the credit period together, see if there's anything that we can do there. And then last couple weeks ago on the podcast, I talked about different programs that you can start signing up with online to help save some money. Yeah. And I wished I was an insurance agent, but I'm not. But I do want to just say, check out your life insurance. I'm not an insurance agent. I don't even have one to recommend to you. However, I will say, get the life insurance. Look at it. See where you're at. See if there's a chance, okay? See if there's a chance to open up a different life insurance policy. See if there's a chance to move some things around so that your life insurance can start working for you, because there are programs out there that will build as savings for you as you're paying these premiums. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, I have an old 7-year-old. And when he was born, I jumped at the chance of that Gerber. Everybody heard Gerber, Gerber, Gerber. So I jumped at the chance to get him a Gerber life insurance to start building some kind of a savings account at a slow pace, yeah. But nonetheless, it's there and we're building it. So with all this Omicron, whatever the cron is, with this new strand of COVID coming out, and things are happening in the world that are, not everyone's making it. And things are happening. Now is a good time. Look at the life insurance, okay? Look at your life insurance policy and see where something can be tweaked, right? While you've got time and a chance to do that going into 2022. That's my tidbit and my suggestion, because what now? Now is a good time to start looking at some things. I don't know, maybe because I'm 48 years old and in a few years I'm going to be 50. Half a century. So So bless my heart. But I just want to say, yes, now is a good time. What now? Now is a good time. Start getting some things in place. And I know I spent a lot of time today about the VA and the FHA, the government loans, but there's so many other opportunities out there to finance your real estate portfolio. Start leveraging, start adding more things to your portfolio. And if not adding is your thing, that's no problem. But look at your mortgage billing statement. See if there's PMI, private mortgage insurance, on the statement. See if your rate is over 3%. It doesn't have to be, not right now. Rates are under 3%. I'm just saying. So analyze what you got. Analyze where you're trying to get to, and let's see if 2022 can be even better than 2021. Okay. So today's podcast brought to you by your girl, Shirley Nichols, with Mortgage Money with Shirley. Again, don't know, we had a little bit of time left for you to call in at 323-815-4204. Or if you need to reach me on my cell phone, if you do need to reach me on my cell phone, feel free. Or even leave a comment in the comment section of this Facebook post, and I will definitely get back to you. Check out the podcast on the YouTube Mortgage Money with Shirley channel. Again, or just instant message me, or like I said, you can call me at 818-720-7575, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But this has been a phenomenal 2021. I hope you all have been very blessed and enriched. Hope you like the podcast. We'll be doing more in 2022, and I'll also be telling you about more real estate. So again, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless. And I'll see you in 2022. It's your girl, Shirley Nichols, with Mortgage Money with Shirley. Thank you.